My husband chose my birthday celebration to publicly humiliate me by announcing our divorce. What he didn't know was that I'd been planning this moment for months. I'm Rebecca Morrison, and I'm about to tell you how my 50th birthday became the most satisfying night of my life. Picture this: the grand ballroom at the Riverside Country Club, 40 of our closest friends and family members, crystal chandeliers casting warm light over perfectly set tables. Everyone was there to celebrate my milestone birthday, or so I thought. I was wearing my favorite emerald dress, the one David had complimented me on countless times over our 22-year marriage. I'd spent weeks planning this party, coordinating with the caterers, selecting the wine pairings, even choosing the flowers that now decorated each table. As the evening progressed, I noticed David seemed unusually nervous. He kept checking his phone, whispering with his business partner Marcus, and avoiding eye contact with me. But what really caught my attention was Jessica Collins, his 31-year-old secretary, sitting at a corner table wearing a dress that cost more than her monthly salary. At exactly 9:15 p.m., David stood up and tapped his champagne glass with his fork. The room fell silent as everyone turned their attention to him, expecting a heartfelt birthday toast to his loving wife. Instead, David cleared his throat and said, "Thank you all for coming tonight. I have an announcement to make. Rebecca, I've decided our marriage has run its course. I'm filing for divorce, and Jessica and I will be starting a new life together." The silence was deafening. 40 pairs of eyes immediately turned to me, waiting for the inevitable breakdown. The tears, the screaming, the dramatic exit. But I just smiled. You see, what David didn't know was that I'd been a financial advisor for 25 years. I knew how to read people, how to spot deception, and most importantly, how to trace money. For the past 6 months, I'd been watching our accounts like a hawk. Small transfers to unknown accounts, expensive charges at jewelry stores, hotel reservations I knew nothing about. David thought he was being clever, but to someone with my background, his affair was as obvious as a neon sign. So I stood up, still smiling, and reached into my purse. I pulled out a beautifully wrapped envelope, the kind you'd use for a special birthday card. "Oh, David," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "What perfect timing. I have something for you, too." His confident expression faltered as I handed him the envelope. "What's this?" he asked, his voice suddenly uncertain. "Just a little birthday surprise," I replied sweetly. "Open it." David's hands trembled slightly as he tore open the envelope. I watched his face go from confusion to horror as he read the contents. Inside were divorce papers, already filed that morning. But that wasn't the best part. Also included were photographs of him and Jessica entering various hotels, copies of the expensive gifts he had purchased for her using our joint credit cards, and detailed bank statements showing every penny he's stolen from our joint accounts over the past year. But the real kicker? The prenuptial agreement he insisted we signed 22 years ago, the one that included a very specific infidelity clause that would leave him with almost nothing if he cheated. David's face went completely white. This can't be legal," he stammered. "Oh, but it is," I said, maintaining my smile. "I had my attorney review everything thoroughly. You see, David, while you were planning your grand exit, I was planning mine. The difference is, I actually read the fine print." Jessica, who had been watching from her corner table, suddenly looked very uncomfortable. She clearly hadn't been told about the prenup or the financial implications of David's decision. The joint accounts are frozen as of this morning, I continued, my voice still eerily calm. The house is in my name only, as per our agreement. Your business accounts, however, are fair game for the settlement negotiations. David started to say something, but I held up my hand. There's more, I said. I've also included evidence of your embezzlement from Morrison Development, specifically the client funds you've been redirecting to your personal accounts. I'm sure the state licensing board will be very interested in that information. This is when David started screaming. You vindictive witch! You can't do this to me! I gave you the best years of my life! The entire room was watching in stunned silence. Several guests had their phones out recording the meltdown. Actually, I said, picking up my champagne glass, you gave me 22 years to learn exactly who you really are. Consider this my graduation present to myself. I turned to address our guests, who were all staring in shock. Thank you all for coming to celebrate my birthday. Please continue enjoying your dinner. The bar remains open, and there's birthday cake for dessert. This is, after all, supposed to be a celebration. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my attorney's office reviewing the final settlement papers. David had tried to contest the prenup, but the evidence of his infidelity and embezzlement was overwhelming. He ended up with his clothes, his car, which was leased, not owned, and enough money to rent a small apartment across town. Jessica had moved on to a pharmaceutical sales rep before David's accounts were even frozen. As for me, I kept the house, my retirement accounts, and my dignity. I also started my own financial advisory firm, specializing in helping women protect their assets during divorce proceedings. My 50th birthday party didn't go as planned, but it became something much better. The first day of my new life. Sometimes the person who thinks they're destroying your world is actually just clearing the way for something better.